Okay, we're live. Thank you all for joining me tonight, the Cinephile World Order, and tonight is the 50th anniversary for Jaws.
You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Yeah, they're all gonna die.
This shark?
He's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Okay, good evening, everyone. All right, so yeah, it's 50th anniversary for Jaws tonight, and yeah, I decided to do this one last minute. I know I haven't really been doing too much on here since the Godzilla stream, Godzilla -1, but yeah, schedule's got to be readjusted again. But yeah, after this stream, I'm definitely getting to the Batman movies. I got to get on top of those. But yeah, I tried having that lined up to where I could get Batman Begins done on its 20th anniversary. I just wasn't able to get around to doing that. But yeah, so we're going to be watching Jaws tonight, which is really up there as one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me on that, but this is really the one movie that is responsible for getting me into all types of movies and made me want to actually explore the entire horror genre really as a very young kid. But yeah, growing up, the movies that really influenced me would I would have to say is Jaws and the original Star Wars trilogy. So those movies right there opened me up to a whole world of cinema, and yeah, it's definitely responsible for why I'm such a cinephile to this day. But all right, so we'll get to the chat here in a minute. I believe the movie's like 2 hours and 7 minutes, so I believe we'll probably be around 2.5 hours here tonight. Look movie link is pinned at the top. I didn't really have much time to search anywhere else beyond there, so I just made sure to provide that link there. So let's go ahead and get the comments. Probably get this started maybe like 20 minutes from now, something like that. But yeah, let's see who's here. And yeah, we got Greg is here. Greg Brewer. What's up, Greg? Hope all is well. Yeah, things are good. They could be worse, but yeah. Yeah, hopefully all is well with you, Greg. Yeah, the 50th anniversary is finally here. Marked on this day 50 years ago. But yeah, it's good to see that wrench went through for you there, Greg. My God, I don't understand what the problem was with that, but it's like every time I go to add someone as a mod, it says they're added, and then if I go back again a few minutes later, it's like I never added them at all. It's like the option's there to re-add that person, and it's like, all right, I guess we'll find out the next time I stream. So yeah, here we go. I found that out right away. But hopefully Caveman Movies and More, hopefully he's got a wrench now too. I was able to make Jim as a mod too. Jim is here, Jim's movie channel. Salsa Shark, we're gonna need a bigger chip. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, good to see you here, Jim. Thanks for stopping by. Hope all is well with you. So we got 9 people in the chat right now. And people saying hello to each other. Greg saying, I think it's sad to say I watched Jaws the Revenge first before the others. I think that happens with quite a few people with plenty of other franchises. Like I'm pretty sure I didn't watch the first Friday the 13th. Like at least I didn't watch those movies in order growing up. I know I saw Jaws before all the other movies, but I mean, it's since you're mentioning Jaws the Revenge, like it's that movie is virtually impossible to defend. It's just even just its tagline alone, just this time it's personal, and it's a fucking shark that is specifically ignoring other people and heading for the Brody family. It's oh man. But my personal opinion, like out of the 4 Jaws movies, if you want to add in Cruel Jaws as the unofficial 5th movie, that's fine. I don't add that one in there, but I personally think Jaws the Revenge is way better than the 3rd one. I mean, what the fuck, dude? Jaws at SeaWorld? Like it's another issue I have with Jaws 3 is like there's really like no on-screen like shark attacks. It's just like like this movie's dull as fuck. It suffers from bad effects. Obviously it was in 3D, but yeah, like I guess this to give like a quick ranking here, it would be Jaws, Jaws 2, Jaws 4 The Revenge, and then Jaws 3. Yeah, Jaws 3 is a fucking turd. But yeah, Jaws 4 is also yeah, it's just as bad, but like that opening scene though, in Jaws: The Revenge, when Sean Brody gets attacked, he gets attacked at that when he's like going out on his patrol boat in that harbor there, and it's nighttime and everything. Like that's another thing that just like really freaks me out is the ocean at night. Could you imagine being plopped into the ocean in the middle of the night? Like you can't see shit. Just that alone scares the shit out of me. But like that opening scene, I think is so fucking good. And then the movie just takes a swan dive from there on out. But I mean, it does have some, some terrifying, I guess you could say, some terrifying scenes, brief moments of that as the movie goes along. But yeah, the movie fails miserably, as a whole from, I guess you could say from beginning to end, really. But I don't know. I personally would take Jaws: The Revenge over Part 3 all day. So Jim saying same old, just stopping by to say hi and show support to my friend Sean. Yeah, thank you, Jim. And yeah, I'll be on Jim's channel next Saturday, the 28th, around 1 p.m. I don't know where he lives. So I don't know what time zone he's in. But maybe that's Eastern time. I'll have to check that again, but I'll get all that shared out. So I'll be on his channel, and that's been a long time coming now, but I'm really looking forward to, getting that stream done and having a good time with that. And just saying, Jaws 2 was my first. I was 8 years old when the original came out, and I heard everything about it before I actually saw it. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even born till 83, but, like, growing up and being a kid, it was like everyone in my family, like, it's like, oh, you got to show him that movie, Jaws. It's like, very life-changing experience, really. I mean, like, I'm not really one that goes to the beach that often anymore. I do live pretty close to the Jersey Shore. It only takes me about like an hour, 45-minute drive to get there. But anytime I do go to the beach, it's always somewhere in my head that, there could be sharks out there. And like, I remember my dad telling me when I was a kid, he's like, there's no like great white sharks out in this water and everything. And it turns out, like, like Millwood, New Jersey and Seaside Heights, like, no, there is fucking great whites there. If you just do your research, like, they're actually all up and down the fucking Atlantic Ocean coast there. Like, but yeah, my dad used to tell me, like, oh, you don't have to worry about sharks being in this water. Like, oh, okay. Well, it turns out, yeah, there is. Like, we got George is here, the Sailor Outlaw. What's up, George? Good to see you here. Hope all is well with you. Yeah, that's right, Jenny. Yeah, the OG summer blockbuster. This is what started summer blockbuster cinema. Jaws, yeah. I don't know if you guys have watched the Jaws at 50 documentary. I haven't watched it yet. I will play the trailer in like a minute or two if you guys haven't seen that yet. I think it's like run through probably Universal or National Geographic, one of those. But I know there's also the 50th anniversary 4K Steelbook edition or the 4K. Apparently that has like a new documentary on there and some new features, which I still have yet to pick that up, but at least there's something new on there besides just I mean, this has been out on 4K for a while. I do have the 4K. Did I pull that out? Yeah, I did. I mean, I'm just like I had the lenticular at 40. This is the 45th anniversary, actually. This one when it came out 5 years ago, when the official 4K came out, like comes with a booklet. You know, you get that lenticular artwork on there. But yeah, it's got the 4K and Blu-ray in there, and then you get a nice little booklet on the inside here. Which actually, I really like that artwork there with the boat sinking there, the orca on this little booklet. I forget how many pages this is. Probably like 70 some pages, but yeah, it's a lot of informing stuff in this little booklet too, like storyboards, essays, poster arts from like Japan, all over the world, all types of areas, but yeah, I've seen that. Like, even though I don't have a proper 4K TV right now, I did watch the 4K when I first got this, and yeah, I'd say overall it does benefit from the 4K transfer. It really does, but Blu-ray is just as good too, though. Greg's saying, guess Jaws has made quite an impact over the years. Oh yeah, it definitely has, man. I did a stream on 4th of July last year. I think we did a double feature. We actually did Jaws and Jaws 2. Obviously, that's the old channel that got terminated. But so technically, this is like the second time I'll be doing a watch party for this movie. But I couldn't ignore the 50th anniversary for this movie. It's really up there as like it's really hard for me to land on a favorite movie. But if I had to like go off the top of my head real quick, like my favorite movie is somewhere between like Blade Runner, Jaws, and like The Empire Strikes Back. It's like one of those three movies, but there's just so many good movies. It's just hard to be like, oh, just like right off the top of my head immediately tell you what my favorite movie is of all time. But those three right there, Blade Runner, Jaws, and The Empire Strikes Back, like those right there will always be in battle for the number one spot with me. And we shit, yeah, we got Froggy the Gremlins here. What's up, Gremlin? John Milius doesn't get enough credit for writing the Indianapolis scene, right? Yes, right. I mean, I feel like like when that scene comes around, because you got Quint, Hooper, and Brody. They're all like sharing like war scars, like stories and stuff. Like who has like the best story with the best scar on their body, and it just gradually moves into Quint telling the story of the Indianapolis getting sunk, and the whole tone of that scene just really shifts from guys just being upbeat and having a good time sharing stories to someone sharing some dead serious shit. And yeah, that is really good. Like, I mean, like, I feel like it doesn't matter how many times I watch that movie, when I'm listening to Quint recite that story, it can take you off from the fact that that the shark's going to be coming soon and he's going to start plowing into the side of the orca. I always just like, I don't know, or you start hearing the shark plowing into the side of it, and it's like, I forget that the shark's coming, even though I've seen it so many times that I should know it's coming. But yeah, it's definitely wise to mention that there, though. But yeah, definitely one of the biggest parts of the film too. And we got V is here, Vanta Black. We're gonna need a bigger live stream. What's up, V? Good to see you here. And Greg saying, funny how the boat is named Orca. They made a film named Orca afterwards. Right, right. And Orca's an alright movie. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but you know, if you're kind of like on like a killer animal kick, you know, and you haven't seen it, you know, I would recommend it. I'd say I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. But, you know, the movie is definitely watchable. Some people appreciate it a little bit more than others. But, I mean, like, you know, I used to wonder why when I was a kid. I didn't really know much about orcas, you know, killer whales when I was a kid. So I didn't know why the boat was actually called the Orca. The more I started to learn about orcas, I'm like, oh, I see why it's called the Orca now. Because that's the one thing in the ocean that actually hunts great white sharks. Like it'll specifically hunt great white sharks and try to hunt them down to gut out their livers. Apparently, yeah, killer whales are attracted to great white shark livers. Guess that's good eating right there. Bruce the shark certainly didn't get big on eating potato chips, but yeah, thank you, Greg. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, please like and subscribe. I usually don't mention that stuff, but yeah, it's obviously it always helps channels to push forward. Long live Jaws. It's George over at Sailor Outlaw. And yeah, we got Sue is here from the Bud Files. What's up, Sue? Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully all is well with you. And yeah, Jim saying Jaws: The Revenge of the Cinematic Abortion, but at least it bought Michael Caine a nice house. Yeah, apparently Michael Caine, like I know, like I've seen interviews of him talking about Jaws: The Revenge, and some people would ask him like, "Did you see the movie?" And he's like, "No, but I've seen the house that it bought my mother." Like apparently he got paid like $1 million for doing that movie, and he bought his mother a house with that money. So that's a funny response to that. Did you see the movie? Like, no, but I saw the house that it bought my mother. Like, yeah. Jim's saying I actually saw that piece of shit Jaws 3D theatrically in 1983. Horrible movie, even in 3D. That's oh man, even like that scene when the shark is like coming up to like that aquarium glass and it crashes through it. Oh my god, dude, it's so fucking bad. That's a fucking rough scene right there. But it's I don't know, man. To me, it's just such a childish movie. Like the whole SeaWorld thing and God, like I mean, everyone's always entitled to their own opinions. I respect opinions, but sometimes when I'm like, if I might watch someone that's talking about the Jaws movies and they prefer Jaws 3D over the Revenge, I'm like, really? Like, well, it's kind of a dead argument to have anyway. But I mean, to me, I will definitely take the Revenge over 3D just based on the opening scene of Jaws: The Revenge. And Greg's saying, I heard Friday the 13th Part 3 was the best 3D film from 1982. Probably was. I know there was also Amityville 3D, which, you know, it's another rough one. You know, I personally think 1983 was a very down year for all horror movies. And you could even say really like all genres really in a way. But I mean, Scarface, that's probably one of the best ones of 83. John Carpenter's Christine. Like, you know, it's I feel like if I had to pull off like a top 10 best movies of 83, I'd have a little trouble with that, right? I'd have to like really think on that. But obviously there's a few good ones from 83, but I really feel like 83 was just like all right, everyone take a year off, regroup, and come back in 84, you know, kind of situation. I mean, there wasn't even a Friday the 13th in 83. I think they were consistently like every year throughout the 80s besides 83. And then what was it? The final chapter, Friday the 13th, that came out in 84, I believe. And George saying the original version of Jaws was epic. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, recently I was like trying to collect like, or I was looking through like best trailer footage to even like do this stream. And I was looking at some of like the original theatrical trailer video for Jaws, and like seeing like the 35 millimeter print style trailer for Jaws. It just looks so cool with like all the degraded style film strip and like the green scratches and specks that go throughout it. But yeah, obviously everything's all fucking high definition streaming anymore. Yeah, Jim saying I hate Friday the 13th Part 3, Greg, but in 3D it was incredible. I mean, I like Friday the 13th Part 3. Like, it's I'm not going to go through a whole ranking of that right now, but like I think Part 3 for me would probably be around like fourth or fifth favorite movie, somewhere in there. But yeah, you either like that one or you don't, I guess. But Froggy saying, can't forget Bruno Mattei's Cruel Jaws, also known as Jaws 5. Yeah, that to me is a movie. Like, I mean, not everyone smokes weed, but if you smoke weed, that's a good one to sit down and shut your brain off, drop out of life for a little while with a bong in hand. But obviously, you could definitely watch that with a fucking sober mindset too, if you want. If you really have that kind of that I don't know, if you're in the movies with like unintentional like funny scenes and stuff, yeah, Cruel Jaws will definitely deliver in that kind of aspect. But that's actually a movie I would like to pick up for my collection. I know Severin released that one on Blu-ray, but it was like so highly priced when it came out. I was like, fuck that. I'm not spending crazy money for Cruel Jaws. Not doing it. I think that one's actually available on YouTube. So for anyone that's curious about Jaws 5, the unofficial fifth movie, give that a watch if you want. But I think it overall it delivers a good time if you're into something you don't want to take very seriously. So all right, thanks for confirming that, Jim. That's 1 p.m. Central Time next Saturday, the 28th. So yeah, I'll be hanging out on Jim's channel. And we got D is here. We got Derek over at Woo Riders. Whoa. What's up there, D? Thanks for stopping by. Hope all is well with you. But all right. We also have Anthony Chobits here too. What's up, Anthony? But all right, so we'll get this one started here, but we'll go ahead and take a look at the Jaws at 50 trailer real quick, which I think is just under 2 minutes.
To me, making Jaws was a life-altering experience.
50 years, we're still talking about Jaws.
It was the first blockbuster. It's this mystical connection between hero and monster.
This started me thinking about a career in movies.
Is there anything that you've never said about Jaws?
Let's find out. We were on the real ocean, and we were way out of our element for 5 months. And we all began going off the deep end, literally. The film was 100 days behind schedule, and 80% of the time the shark didn't work.
There was a strong undercurrent that the studio would close us down.
I was terrified I was going to be fired, but I never once felt like I wanted to quit. And when the film wrapped, I had a full-blown panic attack. But the success was fantastic.
It was sort of life-changing.
It's the film I've seen the most.
It wasn't just a movie, it was a pop culture phenomenon like that.
It supercharged the language of cinema.
There have been movies made since using CG sharks that aren't nearly as good.
The film that I thought would end my career is the film that began it. Boom, 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 boom.
All right. So yeah, that's the Jaws at 50 trailer, which I still need to find time to sit down and watch. But got to agree with James Cameron there. Like, as like all these like shark movies that come out since 1975 with Jaws, like all these CGI sharks, like none of that shit even stands up to what we have with this movie, even 50 years later, man. Find that crazy, sometimes I try to go back and look at some like modern shark movies. Like, I mean, that's that 2016 movie, The Shallows. I find it to be a watchable movie, but doesn't hold a candle to what Jaws has to offer. And I know that 2010 movie, The Reef, that one's actually pretty decent because it uses real great white shark footage. So like, and apparently that is like based on a true story, but I find the Reef, the 2010 movie, that actually be watchable. But I mean, I'm not someone who's like, like into those like Sharknado movies. Like, I'm sorry, you take the shark out of the ocean, I'm just not interested. I don't know. I understand it's not a serious movie, but I'd rather, like, I got piles of other movies like that I'd rather be watching. But yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like everyone has tried their best in a way. Like filmmakers have really tried to like reinvent the shark movie, and I feel like it always just fails every time. But yeah, Jaws to me still stands up as the best amongst them all, man. It really does. And I don't think that's ever going to change. Really don't think so. But where did I leave off here? We'll get this movie going here shortly. I think it was about right around here. What's up? What's been up with you, Sean? Yeah, it was good, man. I just, I haven't been focusing. I haven't been focusing on doing too much content really on the channel. I just haven't really been feeling up for it. So, yeah, that's about the most straightforward response I can give to that. But yes, that is right, Greg. Yeah, dolphins do, target sharks, and usually will work in packs against sharks because sharks are actually solitary animals. I mean, they're just solitary things in the ocean, but I was watching a documentary like a few years ago, and they were researching great white sharks in the New Zealand area. And they were like really surprised over the behavior of the sharks. Some of the sharks were actually working together. Whereas like in South Africa or even up the coast of the Atlantic or the Pacific, they're solitary. They're on their own. They're rogue. They're by themselves. But apparently in New Zealand, like another thing is like most sharks like to be near the surface. Down in New Zealand, they're actually at the bottom of the ocean, finding ways to feed, like really low to the fucking ground. And I found that really interesting. So, I mean, Shark Week is a little played out in a way, I guess you could say, but I will always be interested in a great white shark documentary if it's something I haven't seen before. So I feel like there's always something new to learn with great white sharks if you're really into that stuff. But yeah, dolphins will, if they're threatened enough, they will go up against sharks and they can hold their own. But dolphins really do seem to work best when they work in groups. And we got Anthony Chobits. Yeah, what's up, Anthony? How are you doing today? By the way, I had my meeting today. I'm going to retire from working at 50, and I'm going to be going on a book road trip. That sounds good, Anthony. Retiring at 50. I wish I could do that. It'd be like 8 years from now if I could do that. And we got 59 is here. 59 survivor of the VHS. What's up, 59? Howdy, broski. Yeah, good to see you here. Hope all is well. It's good to see, like, I know a lot of times, obviously you get here when you can get here, but a lot of times you come in towards like the end of a stream. But it's good to see you actually got here, like, before we started the movie. But speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and get this one started. So yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and get yourselves situated and ready, we're going to get this going here in a minute.
Yeah, they're all gonna die.
This shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right, for anyone that's joining in, if you're good to go, we're going to do a 10-1. Look movie link is pinned there in the chat. Not sure where else it's available to watch. All right, let's get this going. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play, bitches. So I'm going on the Blu-ray here tonight. That's what I'm watching on my end. All right, let's get back to the comments. Why do I have this disclaimer thing here? What the fuck's this about? So all these like rating logos. I should have hit play and fast forwarded all that shit, but it's all right. Goddamn Universal, man. I just gotta let it go. So I'm in the middle of the Universal logo playing right now. Let's get back to the comments. Why does that do that? Oh. I don't know, like I always stay highlighted where I should be, and if I play a video, it takes me further ahead. All right. Let's get back here. So, all right, Jim had to get out of here. Unfortunately, I had to bail early in the morning tomorrow, and I will check the replay. Hit that like and subscribe button, people. Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. All right, that's where I was at. Yeah. And Froggy the Gremlin saying, drop out of life with a bong in hand, follow the smoke towards the rift-filled land. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good old sleep. Electric Wizard. Oh, man, the opening of this movie is just... I mean, the credits alone, but, like, you know, that opening kill with Chrissy swimming out in the ocean like that, you know, it's like, you could tell it's, like, somewhere between, like, 5 and 6 a.m., you know? But apparently when they were filming this, it was like a 3-day schedule for that girl playing Chrissy. And she was all hooked up in a harness and everything. They would work between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the morning. But apparently, like, like, that actress really did get injured. I don't know, like, it's hard to find, like, confirmation if, like, she, like, broke ribs or any kind of bones or anything doing it. But apparently, like, she did get, like, severely hurt getting jerked around on that, like, whatever that mechanism they had to pull her around in that water. But yeah, apparently, you know, that actress did get hurt pretty bad just filming that. It was like a 3-day process for her to get all that accomplished. And obviously, as the movie went along, you know, Steven Spielberg went like 100 days over schedule, and that's when he thought he was going to get fired. And yeah, it's funny to see though how it's like it was really like a make or break thing for him, and it's really what opened the fucking gates for him to just, you know, have a career as a director in film. Cruel Jaws is on Tubi. So, all right, that's good. Whatever floats your boat, you know, whatever floats your boat. I personally stay away from Tubi because of the ads. Like, you know, it's actually, there's been times I've used Tubi, very rarely, where there won't be any ads. But for the most part, you're probably going to get hit with like 6 to 8 ads throughout a movie, and which is another reason why I appreciate collecting movies. You know, I don't get no interruptions. I just get what I bought, and I don't have to worry about anything interrupting that. I think this light is dying on me. Get a little bit bright. Sometimes I look at the replay, I'm like, damn, dude, my face is like so white, and that's because of the light I have to use. I think that's a little bit better. But yeah, we're at the scene now. Yeah. You know, I think if she was sober, it's obvious that she's been drinking. I think if she was sober, she wouldn't be so interested in jumping in that water. I mean, I can even say that from like personal experience. Like when I was like in my early 20s and going down to the shore with people and getting drunk on the beach, like I found myself swimming in water where I couldn't even touch the bottom anymore. And like, you know, kind of like even like just saying to myself, like, yo, if I wasn't drunk right now, I wouldn't be doing this at all. So yeah, it's amazing what you know, drinking alcohol could do for you, but it can put you in a very dangerous situation like this, man. Like, just imagine that though. Like, she doesn't have this on her mind that anything could, you know, some wild animal could strike her. She's just under the impression that she's going to be going out for a quick dip with this guy that she's interested in. Just imagine that. Like, you know, your spirits are up, you're in a good mood, you're obviously you're drunk, you're feeling good, and then out of nowhere something just nips at your leg and pulls you under the water. Like, and the fact that, you know, this is like early dawn, it's kind of dark out, you know, like that just freaks me out a bit more too. But yeah, she's just completely helpful. It's just helpless against this 25-foot, 3-ton great white shark. And I guess it's kind of good that this guy just got completely drunk that he couldn't even, he got his clothes off, but he couldn't even get past the shoreline. He passed out on the beach. But yeah, that is such a classic scene though. That opening kill really sets the tone so quickly in this. All right, let's get back to the comments. We got 7 people in the chat. Where was I at? Here. All right, 59. My uncle has this on in the front room, keeping me from recording shorts on the good TV. It's funny. That's a good sacrifice, I guess you could say. So Froggy saying Severin got threatened with a lawsuit for the Jaws 5 slipcover. I think I remember that briefly. I don't know exactly, but it kind of rings a bell. I think I remember like seeing that on Facebook back when I used to have like an actual Facebook account. It's hot in New York City. Yeah, it's going to be a hot one tomorrow, man. Today it was like 84 here, but I mean, I live on the East Coast and near in like the Philadelphia area, but the only thing that helped out the weather today was the humidity was under 50%. See, that's when I can tolerate summer, is when the humidity's not so bad. But when that humidity is like 55% and up, I'm like, fuck that shit, dude. I'm not even going outside, man. I hate that feeling, man, when you walk out the door, especially like you're all like clean and showered, and you walk out the door and you get smacked in the face with this fucking heat wave, and you're just like immediately you feel defeated before you get to the bottom of your steps. Like, what the fuck? Like, sometimes I don't know, when people are like, oh, I love summer. How come you don't like summer either? Like, I guess you never experienced humidity before? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that shit sucks, man. I think every season has its peaks, its ups and downs, really, but I'm more of a winter person. I just feel like I can thrive a bit more in colder weather. And I grew up playing ice hockey, you know, like playing games at like 7:30 in the morning on Saturdays. And I just grew accustomed to that quickly. And yeah, I just figured out, like, you know, my early teens, like, all right, yeah, winter is my season. Winter and fall. But The summer really does have its advantages, though. It does, but I'm kind of glad in the way that the winter season lasts a bit longer than the summer. But yeah, summer is nice, but man, it's the fucking heat waves and humidity. Fuck that shit, man. There's a reason why people have AC units, you know, it's to feel comfortable. Yeah, people saying hello to each other. I don't know if you guys can directly click on each other's channels or not. Some channels you can do that where you just click on the name and you go like view channel and click on that. But if not, you know, use the search bar and just try to support each other and subscribe to each other. So 59 saying, yeah, warm here, solar flares heat us up. And Derek saying it was 101 degrees here in Northeast Florida today. Jesus, fuck my life. So now this is where Brody and his other patrolman here discover the the one piece of meat left over from Chrissy, which is like her forearm. I know, like when they're doing that half-ass autopsy with Hooper, which is like, what? Like, I thought this guy is supposed to be like a marinologist or whatever that's called. Like, okay, he's got a fucking like a doctor's degree too. Like, maybe, who knows? But maybe they know more than I do. But I just know, like, with that autopsy they're doing, it's like her arm only exists from like here up. Like, that's all they found. It's like, you know, just that little piece of her arm. But you can really see that, like, that, you know, even though it's not a very graphically shown scene, you can see that that situation really struck Brody in a way, and he's like super into like writing the report now, and now he's at the probable cause of death, and he writes shark attack on that, and then he takes a second to really take that in, like, oh shit, like we got a big problem here. This is not just one dead person. This is potentially going to harm other people, you know, other beachgoers and locals. Holy shit, 115 in Arizona. Pat Master was saying, same in Vegas. Wow. Yeah, Pat Master, he don't come over here no more, but that's all good. A lot of people don't come over here anymore. A lot of people don't like me, but you know what? I like it that way. It's less people I have to acknowledge. Oh, yeah, because fuck them, that's why. I honestly, I'm glad Juno in Texas. I'm glad I don't do streams with those fucking airheads anymore. Boring ass fucking retards. Yeah, anyone in town has a problem, they go right to Brody, but he's got a bigger dilemma on his hands. But like when that lady comes in, she's like, "Hey, Chief, apparently we got a problem with the kids, you know, with the karate class, and they're going around and karate in the picket fences." You know, he's working on getting the beach closed signs and shit. You know, like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and quote this whole movie, but I probably could, like, if I was sitting here by myself, I probably could quote this whole movie. There's only like so many movies that I like and know that I could probably quote from beginning to end, but I think this is definitely one of them. But yeah, 115 degrees in Arizona. You know, from what I hear, like people I know, like friends that like I grew up with and moved out west and like that area, a few people I will hear from sometimes will tell me that usually the humidity is not that bad out there in like the West Coast, which is why like those like 105-degree days up can be a bit tolerable with hot weather, but I'm just not a dry, I don't know, dry atmosphere heat person. Just it's never really jived with me. Derek saying we had some wild thunderstorms a few hours ago, which is typical this time of year. Right before it gets dark, got some cool pics of the sky. I'll post on my channel. All right, I'll try to check that out later, Dave. But yeah, that sounds interesting. You know, another thing is, I know like once like Hooper, Brody, and Quint are out on the Orca, there's a really cool scene where they actually capture a shooting star, shoot right across the sky. And it seems like some viewers will actually just overlook that. You know, it kind of is like a 3-second scene, but there's no effects with that. It's all natural. It's like a real shooting star that they managed to catch in the background. Oh, Ryan's here. Okay, I must overlook that. But yeah, we got Ryan's here. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you here. Hope all is well with you. Thank you for stopping by, and have a good and safe weekend. And the mayor with that suit on with the anchors all over it. I don't know if I could pull that off. Awesome name, Froggy the Gremlin. I am a gremlin. Yeah, but y'all don't have the humidity. Y'all got that dry heat. Yeah, exactly. Humidity's a killer. That's really what fucks up warm weather, man. We're coming up on the Alex Kittner scene, man. So, like, overall, apparently, you know, just like looking up info that I don't always know about with this movie, it seems like the shark, Bruce the shark, gets a total of around 4 minutes of screen time in this movie. And, you know, I think a lot of that is really due to the fact that, you know, Steven Spielberg and the crew, they had a hard time getting that shark to work. And apparently from like, right out of Steven Spielberg's mouth, he said that like 80% of the time the shark didn't work. That's a lot. That's a lot right there, man. But yeah, as the camera goes around, looks at all the beachgoers, the locals, and everything, you see everyone's just doing their thing, man. I feel so bad for this guy, throwing the wood stick out with his dog Pippet. I think that's the dog's name, and the dog just disappears. Like, what happens to the dog? I guess the dog gets fucking gobbled up, But oh man, horror movies are so cruel to dogs and animals, right? They always are. Always find a way to strike a chord in you there when an animal, a little innocent, cute animal, gets killed or something like that. But it's always effective though in movies. It's got its place, but real camera work on the old school. Deep Blue Sea. That's a tough one. Deep Blue Sea. It's definitely important to mention Deep Blue Sea. What did that come out, like 2001 or 99? I think that came out. I remember going to see that with the South Park the movie, Blair Witch Project, and Deep Blue Sea. We went to the theater one day and we saw all three of those in one day. But I remember last summer I went back and I watched Deep Blue Sea. No, yeah, that's right. I watched it last summer because I picked up the Blu-ray or something like that. It's the first time I watched it in a long time. I feel like Deep Blue Sea is a watchable movie. Bad effects throughout it. But, it's just that time period. but it is a very watchable movie. I'd say, definitely you could put that in the category of one of the better shark films. I never bothered with the second and third one, and if there's any more after that. But yeah, Deep Blue Sea it's got its place in cinema. It's for that time, the end of the century there, the end of the 90s, it did its thing there. It's Samuel Jackson, we gotta work together. He gets attacked by that fucking shark. Oh man, was it Michael Rappaport's in that one? Like the cast kind of just tells you what you're getting. Thomas Jane does a good job in it, but I would say Deep Blue Sea, I would give it a very generous 7 out of 10. No, this is where Alex Kittner, now he's getting attacked by the shark, man. Oh, he's getting gutted, man. But I think the worst part of that is when you hear him, like he's getting drugged under the water and he's just choking and gargling on that water. That's gotta be such a helpless feeling, like something's yanking you under and all you want to do is fucking breathe. So this is technically the second shark attack, you know. But I don't, dude, between, you know, the opening one with Chrissy, you know, swimming out at dawn there, and the fourth attack when the fucking the swim coach gets attacked, you know, you see his leg drop down to the bottom of the ocean. Like, first time I saw Jaws and I watched the fucking swim teacher get, you know, taken out, dude, that shit fucked me up, man. Like, it really traumatized me. Like, you actually get to see a bit of the shark too, like, come out of the water in that moment. And after, you know, that swim teacher gets killed, it's just nothing but, you know, the ocean just engulfing in blood out of nowhere, just pouring and coming up to the surface. And now this is where Brody can't ignore this situation now, and now even you know, Alex Kintner's mother's got the $3,000 bounty out, and but this is where, you know, Quint's going to be introduced to the movie. And but I find it so crazy that the people are just like, they're more worried. Like, the one thing they're worried about is if the beaches are going to be open or not. It's like, really? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, there's fucking bigger, better things going on right now, more important things. Are the beaches going to be open or not? All right, where was I? Yeah, let's get back to. Oh God, I hope that's not real. Sharknado, what is that? 7 versus Jaws 3. I'm bad with Roman numerals, but I don't even know how many Sharknado movies there are. I'd say there's got to be at least 3 of them. I don't know. I still haven't even seen the first one. You couldn't even pay me to watch that shit. Yeah, great. I've been loving my life watching Deep Blue Sea. That's cool, man. That's cool. Sharks of the Corn 3. Why do I feel like I've heard that shit before? Or at least Sharks of the Corn. Samuel L. Jackson before the bad Jedi management skills. I mean, if you're going to close the beaches, then why are you putting shark spotters on the beach? It's obvious you need to have guys out in boats. Yeah, Brody's explaining that, you know, he did a call to the Oceanographic Association. That's where, you know, Matt Hooper is going to be introduced into the movie. He says, you know, the beaches are going to be closed, and the mayor comes in when all the commotion goes, it's only 24 hours. Like, I didn't agree to that. And this is where that scratching on the chalkboard comes in. You got Quint munching on saltines in the back there. Y'all know me. Y'all know how I earn a living. Now I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. Bad fish. Every line by you know, Robert Shaw as Quint is just fucking gold in this movie. And Clint is right though, man. I value my neck a lot more than $3,000. I'll find him for 3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10. Y'all need to make up your minds. You want to stay alive and ante up, or you want to play it cheap and be on welfare all winter? Yeah, Robert Shaw, man, he's a good actor. You know, another movie I really like him in is the original, what the fuck's that called again? The Taking of or the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I think that's called. It was like a probably about this time this movie came out. It's definitely a 70s movie, but it's like a heist movie where some guys, you know, hijack a train in New York City. But man, he's really fucking good in that one. But you know, Robert Shaw, he really is. He's good in everything he's done. And we got Shamarlos is here. What's up, Scott? Good to see you here. Scott is watching Prey. I thought Prey was a decent movie. Seems like, some people will really rip that movie to shreds, have nothing positive to say about it, but I thought it was better than what a lot of people make it out to be. Pizza and a cheeseburger today. That's good to hear. I had a cheeseburger earlier, like straight off the grill, not that McDonald's bullshit. Now we're moving ahead. Yeah, that's another thing with this movie. This movie is paced very well. And I just feel like as each scene goes along, it just really keeps your interest level just right there and just totally into the movie. And yeah, the pacing just works perfectly in this movie, which at times I find like a little unbelievable when you hear the experience that Steven Spielberg had with making this movie. Need to cook some burgers, God. Shark burgers it is. Shark burger will eat. Jaws, yeah, way. Yeah, can you imagine running into like a fucking 25-foot great white shark? Like 2 tons, 3-ton fucking shark. I mean, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the movie Open Water, which technically is a shark movie. You have oceanic white-tip sharks in that movie. Just another one that's based on a true story. But that whole concept terrifies me. Like, could you imagine being out in a boat and you went scuba diving or just went swimming or something and you took your eye off the boat that you were on and it's just gone and you're stuck out in the ocean? Man, that I really think if I went scuba diving and I came back up to the surface, I would probably go into immediate shock if I was able to see nothing but a fucking blue line horizon and nothing around me. But Open Water, that's a challenging film. If you're looking for a shark movie, you can't go into watching Open Water expecting a good shark movie. But that movie pretty much follows the true story of it. I feel like the movie serves its purpose and it can be very effective just based on the fact, like, being out in the open ocean like that, the open water is just terrifying on its own. And now you got these 2 dickheads taking the one guy's taking his boy's fucking Sunday roast and they're hooking it up on the line and throwing it out in the shallow water here, expecting to cash in big with that $3,000 to catch Bruce the shark. These guys are gonna have a reality check here in a minute. I would love to look at that shark book that Brody's looking at, when he's like glancing through it, going through the pages and stuff. It looks like a very interesting shark book. He's just like flipping through the pages and stuff, and he's trying to learn as much as he can in a very short time period. Okay, girl on the beach. Yeah, in the beginning of the movie, it basically is. I don't think I've ever been to like a no, I've never been to like a beach party. Like I've been on the beach hanging out with people drinking, but I've never been to like like an actual beach party. So speaking of like horror movies and beaches, you guys remember the movie Blood Beach, where like the beach itself is like the antagonist in the movie? Like that's a movie that really needs an upgrade. I would like to, actually have that in my collection and give it a watch again. Last time I seen Blood Beach is back in the, VHS rental days, man. I would love to go back and see that though. Especially with like a better transfer, with a lot more clarity in the print. Joel's cheeseburger. Yeah, Joel's is about to have himself a fucking cheeseburger. You saw how easy it was for for Bruce the Shark to just rip that fucking small harbor out from under those guys, and they're stuck in the water. They take my word for it, Charlie. Don't look back. Swim, boy, swim. It's definitely the worst time to be in the ocean. When the movie opens up with Chrissy swimming out in the water, at dawn. Apparently that's where like all things oceanic, things in the ocean, that's when they feed the most. Is that that transition from middle of the night to dawn, early morning. That's where like, sea life is really just alive and looking for things. So that's the worst time to be in the ocean. All right, so Schmarlo's had a pork chop too. All right. This is where Matt Hooper comes into the movie. He's finally arrived at Amity now. And you can see, Brody's just swamped, man. He's in over his head with dealing with all the locals and trying to navigate everyone, trying to tell everyone to not go out on their boats and try to go out for this 3K fucking bounty on the shark. But everybody, man, I guess $3,000 back in '75. That must have been a lot of money. All right, guys, I have to go use the bathroom for a second. Give me about a minute and a half. I'll be right back here. So just bear with me. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I could not hold it in any longer. Hey, like, you see all these guys going out and they're trying to hunt the shark. I mean, I get the vibe that these guys have experience, but it's just like they're all in a hurry to get nowhere. They're all swamped next to each other. Like, they're just throwing blood and chum in the water, fish heads, all types of shit. It's just what a bunch of fucking nimrods, man. Greg's saying Robert Shaw was hurt too during the shark attack scene. Yeah, I would imagine. That must have been a grueling scene to film that, and apparently too, Robert Shaw was like really shit faced a lot of the times throughout the filming of this movie. So I'm sure that must have been challenging to work with, even for him too. But that ongoing feud of Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw throughout the movie, I feel like that really benefited both of their characters. Apparently, like behind scenes off camera, when they weren't filming, they were just constantly, name calling and taking jabs at each other. But I think that really benefited the characters when it came time to, hit action and be on your mark and, do your scene and do what you got to do. I feel like it really benefited both characters, and it just shows on screen. Now, Hooper's he's pulling Chrissy's arm out because he's doing the autopsy now. And this was no boating accident. didn't you get on a boat and check out these waters? It wasn't any propeller. It wasn't any coral reef. And it wasn't Jack the Ripper. It was a shark. These idiots caught like a 16-foot tiger shark. They think they got the shark. $59 saying, just found my second creature of the Black Lagoon VHS last week. Awesome cryptic shirt. Yeah, right. I was looking for my Joel shirt and I was like, damn, dude, I can't find it. But that's what happens when you have too many t-shirts, man. They get put in certain drawers, they get placed in an area, and you forget you have them. But yeah, this is the next best shirt I have. So it's yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon. But like even on top of that, like sometimes I buy shirts and I go for a certain screen print that I like. But then when I put the shirt on and I get home, like, you know what? The shirt doesn't feel that comfortable. And I probably won't end up wearing it just because of that. But this shirt has like really comfortable cotton to it. So yeah, I'm like one of those people, like even with hats, if the hat doesn't feel right on me, like after a certain amount of time, I will probably stop wearing it. Same thing with shirts. Like if the cotton doesn't feel right to me, like on my skin, I just won't wear it that much. What is this bite radius crap? What do you mean you don't know if it's a man eater? Well, you stick your head in there and find out. These guys are all man. You see the mayor's all excited, like, oh, all right, he's going to bring all those summer dollars back to the island. Yeah, the spring and fall or cool summers, but yeah, anymore, man, it's rare to get a cool summer. But, you know, at least from my experience here on the East Coast, I feel like the spring this year lasted a lot longer. And, like, usually by Memorial Day weekend, that's when shit starts heating up. This Memorial Day weekend, it did not heat up. So that's why we kind of, or at least in my opinion here on the East Coast, we had a bit of a late spring, and I prefer it that way. Rock on, Sean. I'm a hockey kid too. It's my family sport, roller and ice. Yeah, I grew up playing both, man. Shit, I remember at one point I was on 3 roller hockey teams and 1 ice hockey team. And I remember my dad was like, "You can't keep doing this." I was like, "But people keep asking me to join their teams, and I can't turn them down." And some of these teams will have like sponsorships where you get like free wheels or like free equipment. It's like, fuck, dude, like I can't say no to that. But by the time I was like 25, I had to really just hang up the skates, man. Like, because I was getting injured too often, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to work the next day, and that shit became way too much for me, man. It's hard to play a full contact sport like that and have a 9-to-5 job the next day. And this is where Mrs. Kittner comes to the dock after they caught the tiger shark. And man, when she slaps the shit out of Brody, though, I feel like she fucking that whole entire hand just really covers his whole face just by the sound effect. It's like, damn. Now, I don't think Brody is really the one to take the full blame here, because it's not like he has all this knowledge of this whole situation. He's never gone through this before. Now, maybe he should have been a little bit more quicker to close the beaches. That's where I feel like Brody's a bit at fault. But this is all something new for this island, you know, for the people of Amity. And this is not an easy situation, but obviously this is a mother that's just going through her grief of losing her child, and someone's got to answer for her child fucking, getting killed by, a wild animal. And obviously that goes to the sheriff, man. I mean, really, I think she should have slapped the fucking mayor, too. She should have slapped the mayor and the fucking chief, But, this ends up taking a huge effect on Brody, which it should, it's if he has any bit of like, humanized, if he's at all like has any like human emotion in him, that whole situation should really hit home for him. And yeah, he's sitting at home now. He just had dinner. He's getting drunk and shit. But this is where, Hooper's going to show up at the house and they're going to agree to go down to the dock and cut open that tiger shark and see what its digestive tract looks like. Yeah, the point of view shots worked out for the better, right? Yeah, I agree, Greg. And Jason's here, Ginger Ninja. What's up, Jason? Good to see you here. I mean, if you're still here, I'm a little behind on comments, but yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. And hopefully all is well with you. Paula, happy Jaws versary. Yeah, that's one I haven't heard before, but that works. That works very well. Yeah, like I said earlier too, man, if you guys can, I don't know if you can go directly to each channel as you click on the names, but just try to, go to the search bar and type in names and, support each other and subscribe to each other. Yeah. See, sometimes, I don't know, man. I don't know how some of these bigger channels do it. And, actually, I think I do know how some of these bigger channels do it. They only pay attention to the ones that fucking leave super chats. But I don't sometimes, like, obviously, this is, it's all right. So we had about like probably between like 7 and 10 people on here. But sometimes I just get to talking about a movie and then I'll ignore comments and I get backed up on comments. But I don't know how some people really like navigate this and juggle it so well, but that's the reason why I can get backed up on comments. I start talking about something, I get sidetracked, and the next you know it, I'm behind in comments. Where was I at? Oh, right here. It's right. There's a Catnado on Tubi. Jesus Christ, they went that far. Wow. Catnado. There's the Meg also, but I haven't seen it. I saw the first Meg. I thought it was okay. I thought it was being a bit overhyped by some people, but yeah, I watched it. It was all I can say about the Meg is it was a one and done. Like I enjoyed the viewing, but I will probably never watch it ever again. A lot of bad effects in that one too. Obviously, with the Meg title, it's supposed to be, focusing on a giant megalodon, prehistoric great white shark, if you want to call it. But didn't they make a second one though? Something like that. Jason Statham's in those movies, but yeah, doesn't hold a candle to what we're watching right now. But and Greg's mentioning the Mutilator, also known as Fall Break. It even has that that little jam, Fall Break. Saturday in the shadow of the moonlight. There's like a little theme song in that slasher. That's a fun slasher, though. It is. It's actually, it's got some pretty cool kills in it too. I really like the tagline in that. What the hell's that tagline again? Let me see if I can pull that out. The tagline is, oh yeah, the Mutilator, by sword, by picks, by axe, bye bye. That's a good tagline. I don't know if you guys. Oh, let's see if I go in closer. That's the actual tagline there. But yeah, it's a fun little slasher, especially for a killer in it that's not actually like very concealed, doesn't have like a cool mask or anything, but typical slasher formula throughout that. It does the job. Oh God, we're talking about Catnado. 59 saying Catnado sounds adorable and horrible. I have to recommend that to my cat friends. Many cat people like VHS. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, guys saying hello to each other. Yeah, just make sure you guys are subscribing to each other. That's always important. Oh. 59 saying I was on my phone. Got it on the camp now, but good setup with the link you provided. I love my Windows. Oh, that's good. I know some people can't always access Look Movie. I guess it comes down to like what you're using, maybe a tablet or a laptop or whatever it is. I just know like I've had people before saying like, oh, I can't access that website. Like, man, that sucks. Like, I personally like to use Look Movie a lot. It usually doesn't give me any issues. You know, you can find a lot of good movies on there. I mostly like to collect, but sometimes I like to use it for more of the newer movies. And that'll help me decide if I like a movie enough to want to buy, a physical copy and own it and add it to the collection. So, but between lookmovie.com, there's also internetarchive.org, I think it is, or .net. I don't know. I just know if if you go on Google and you type in Internet Archive, you'll find it right away. Like that's another handy site that you can find a lot of stuff on. You could actually download a lot of stuff off of there too. But yeah, sometimes I will find stuff that I can't normally find, like, on YouTube. Overall, Look Movie really has a lot of stuff that I'm usually looking for. The only movie I ever had trouble finding was that movie, the Christmas horror movie, Deadly Games, Dial Code Santa Claus. This is like probably, I think it might have been last Christmas, somewhere around there. I was looking for it and I was going to do a watch party for it. I was like, fuck, they don't have it on there. It's like, holy shit. It was like kind of like a Twilight Zone moment when I was like, wow, I can't find a movie on Look Movie. Holy shit. So I had to bail out on that one. But apparently it's on there now. That movie, Dial Code Santa Claus, is on there now. But it's now like in the movie, Hooper and the chief, they cut open that tiger shark. They found a couple of cans, a license plate. I mean, if you have any knowledge of sharks, tiger sharks alone, they are like garbage cans. They will swallow anything if they're hungry enough. They will really eat and swallow anything. So that's why a tiger shark would have a car license plate in its stomach. Anything that asshole humans want to throw into the ocean, the tiger shark will suck it up. But yeah, from looking at its digestive tract, there's just not enough there to just fall back on the decision of being like, yeah, we caught the shark here. So this causes Hooper to get all excited and he wants to go out on his personal boat here. It's the middle of the night and he wants to go out and explore these waters. And they end up coming across something here that ends up being one of the locals that went out for $3,000 bounty. And this ends up being the guy, Ben Gardner. He was one of the guys going out to try to cash in on that $3K. It looks like he did not meet a very nice end there. Very grueling ending for him, man. 59 saying, so I watched the last 15 minutes and came over to start over again. My uncle had it on. 50 is hitting everywhere on I'm sorry, where on over the air TV and YouTube channels. Yeah, I mean, you can always celebrate an anniversary throughout a whole year. You really can. Landing on release dates, that really just helps me pick through a vast amount of movies that I like and know. Because I really hate when I'm like, I don't know what to watch. And I stare at my collection for like an hour or two. Like seriously, like an hour or two. And I'm like, fuck, I just wasted so much time on trying to figure out what to watch and I still haven't figured it out. So that's why I kind of went with that method of watching certain movies, going back and watching a lot of these movies on their like significant release dates, such as like for me, I try to celebrate an anniversary like every 5 years. I'm not like, okay, so this movie came out 44 years ago. We have to watch it. Like, I'm not like that, but I try to celebrate an anniversary with a movie about every 5 years. So, like, if something's like 40 years old, 45 or 50 or 55 years old, I try to go with that method, really. Yesterday, I come up on Ben Gardner's boat. You could obviously see it's taking in water. It's like very slowly, like it has like some kind of puncture below deck, and it's slowly submerging underwater. But Hooper's like, listen, Brody, I gotta go down there and see what's going on. Like, you can tell this guy's just an oceanic freak at heart. Like nothing will stop Hooper from getting in the water. And of course, Brody's drunk as shit, though. I am eating white Reese cups right now. 59 saying, I have a photo of myself and my sisters at Universal Studios Hollywood. I was standing right under the teeth with my head, and oh wow. Yeah, I've never been to Florida, man. I mean, let alone, to be at the Jaws ride, but I've seen the videos and stuff over the years. It looks like it was really a fun time. I think that opened up in like 1990 originally. Jaws the ride, Universal Studios Hollywood. Oh man, this is a scary ass scene. Again, it's at night, which I think makes it more scary for me. Now Hooper pulls out that big tooth, but he gets a surprise by dead ass Ben Gardner, man, with no eyeball. That's some scary shit, man. The ocean is just scarier at night for me, man. Keep me far away from the ocean at night. Egyptian cotton, yes, very picky about hats, and Hanes are horrible for an loom. I like. Yeah, I don't know. Underwear, yeah, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I do have, I do have a couple pairs of Hanes. I have jockey ones, but I did notice like the jockey brand, like the actual cotton on that is so much better. And both of those, like Fruit of the Loom and Hanes brands. Let her hunt the shark. There you go, 59. You didn't sue people back then. You just got beat the hell. You just beat the hell up or beat the hell out of them. Yeah, that is right, Craig. Oh, man. Oh, my Uncle Neil just finished Dead Time Stories in the Den Room, 1986, and I'd never seen this. Fell in love with the Goldilocks. I only saw the third story. Man, I haven't seen Dead Time Stories since the VHS rental days. I know that is a horror anthology, too. I should have that in my collection, but I don't. And I do know that, at least I think I'm pretty sure of this. I think the Goldilocks actress, I think that's the actress Melissa Leo. I'm pretty sure that's her. It's like an early role from her, actually. I guess one of those situations where you want to get your feet wet, you got to do one of these undesirable horror movies. That's interesting to hear the Dead Time Story. I haven't seen that one in a long time, man. Now moving forward here, it's this is Hooper and Brody are trying to convince the mayor here that these beaches need to be closed permanently here, so we can focus on hiring someone like Quint to kill the fucking shark. And at the same time, I really think the vandalism plays perfectly into this scene with with that giant billboard with the shark and the girl screaming, "Help! There's a shark!" And the fact that they're trying to convince this mayor to close everything down. It's like, the billboard says it all. But this guy's got nothing but dollar signs lined up in his head. He's like, to prove that, I'll get your name into the National Geographic. Yeah, I haven't been playing with video on here lately, man. I gotta get some more goofball shit uploaded on here. But not a lot of good stuff on here lately. What happened? Did I delete that? Oops. No. Take a look at me with some flaming eyes. All right, so what's our timestamp right now? I know we're a little off because mine got all messed up with intros in the beginning, but I'm coming up on 40 or 54 minutes real soon. In like 5 seconds, I'm going to be at 54. Now I'm at 54 minutes. This is where all the tourists are coming in for 4th of July weekend and everything. They're all unloading. And, I think another thing I find really amazing with this movie that, I gradually would find out about as I would watch this movie, especially with buying certain copies of it. But I found it really interesting that like how many like natural local people that lived in this area were actually in the movie, because I always was under the impression that everyone you see on screen is like an actor in some way or some kind of extra. But now overall, like most of the extras in this movie are actual locals of the island. All right, we got 3 people left in the chat. Perfectly fine. But I mean, yeah, this was really like a last minute decision to do this stream anyway. So, like, I think I decided to do this at like 9 o'clock tonight, and then we went live around like 10:45. But yeah, obviously Hooper and the chief, they failed to convince the mayor to close the beaches, for 4th of July. And you think like 3 people getting attacked already? Like, we got a problem here. Some fucked up shit right there where, greed is one thing that wins out over having any kind of like standards with caring about people, any kind of morals and that kind of mindset. I'd be like, fuck that beach, I'm closing that shit. I don't give a fuck about your 4th of July weekend, man. Got a real problem here. Yeah, and then like I find that a little ballsy too. The mayor's like, no one wants to go in the water, and he's trying to like motivate these random people to get in the water. I'd be like, fuck you, I'll go in the water when I want, dude. Fuck out of my face. Yeah, this old couple, I guess their grandkids, they end up going in the water. But you can see that they do have shark spotters in boats. They do have like a net lined up too. So it's like it's in a way like the way that they're going about this, it does seem like they're like one step ahead of the sharks or any kind of shark interaction with human beings. But No, it's almost like the shark has an ace up his sleeve when it's like, I'm going to sneak in through the pond because nobody goes to the pond. That's for old ladies. Yeah, this is where the chief tells his son Michael, he's like, do me a favor, huh? Why don't you and the other guys take the boat and go into the pond instead? He's like, the pond's for old lady. That's got to be disappointing for a kid at his age. He just got a boat for his birthday. He wants to go out in the water, and you got to go in the pond with the old lady. But yeah, I guess he's going to have a reality check here in a little bit. Yeah, that's good to see, 59. Yeah. Always got to support other channels. Obviously, we all can't get to every channel every freaking day. There's just too many channels out there, a lot of good people, but you know, just being subscribed and staying subscribed is at least the key to that, making sure the bell is on for potential content down the road. I have an HP laptop that is pretty modern, only 2 years old. I don't like I don't know why. Like, I have a laptop that I don't really use. I'm mostly an Android phone person, so I'd say 99% of the stuff I do that you see on YouTube is done right through my cell phone, but it can be frustrating when you're limited to doing things, or like how like a YouTube setup with like the studio will be different through your Android phone compared to being on a PC or a laptop or something. So apparently amity, as you know, means friendship. Yeah. Being real friendly while letting these people just, ring the dinner bell for the damn shark here. And obviously these two little punks, they got a fake shark fin, they're swimming around and getting ready to pull a prank here. Which I think even shows that these kids, they don't understand like they don't understand how far this prank can really go, how bad of an idea this could really be. Which also ends up benefiting Bruce when he shows up. So now it's, yeah, now the lifeguards are getting on the megaphones, everything, bells are whistling, sirens are going off. Everybody, please get out of the water. All right, Jason's saying, yeah, I can't access Look Movie because it's blocked on my work laptop. Oh, okay. And that'll probably be an issue with other people too, though. Like I stumbled over Look Movie one time. That's how I really found it. Like I was like, I think I was like going on Google and trying to like search for like a certain movie and then like probably type in something like free to watch online. And I do remember I was looking for the Italian zombie movie, Nightmare City, the Umberto Lenzi movie. And that popped up, and I was like, what's this Look Movie thing? And I clicked on it, and right away, like the video thing pulled up, and it was like, okay, I could see the play button. I hit play, and it just started playing, and I was like, it's like, really? That was that easy to find this movie on a website? And then I went through the categories, like like the genre category. I started clicking on that. I was like, yo, they got like new releases on here and some other things, and I was like, nobody ever talks about this. What is this, like a hidden gem that people don't know about? I guess, but it's great if you can access it. But obviously that sucks if you can't access it. But, after this whole prank here, being played with these two little kids with the shark fin, and everyone's relieved that the shark really wasn't there. Everyone's starting to realize it was a prank, and now some girl's screaming about a shark being in the pond. And that's where, Ellen Brody says to the chief there, says to, Chief Brody, like, oh, Michael's in the pond, and that, that's where his survival instincts gotta kick in. He's got to get over there and get Michael out of the pond because he told him to go into the pond. But dude, this kill scene, the fourth shark attack here, this was really traumatizing for me as a kid. You actually get to see the shark. You get to see a limb fall down to the bottom of the ocean. You get to see a bunch of blood come to the surface too. Oh man, that's scary looking. You see that shark like transparent through that water, and then you hear that swim teacher just screaming in terror. And oh my god, that is a fucking monster in that ocean, man. All that blood coming to the surface too. Just Jesus Christ. Such a great executed scene, man. And apparently in that scene, when you see Michael, he's not moving in the water. He's in shock. But apparently the shark, at least from the Peter Benchley's novel, the shark is supposed to brush against him and injure him in some kind of way. But ultimately, yeah, Michael survives that scene, but he's left being in shock and apparently was brushed by the shark when the shark got out of the pond after eating that swim teacher. Yeah, his mother comes up, they're examining him. His mother thinks he's dead. But no, you can see that he just went into shock, man. That would be enough for me to go into immediate shock too, man. Just sitting there like I just watched my swim teacher get fucking eaten alive. Oh my god. This is where, like now that scene when you see, Brody looks out to the ocean. Now it's become personal. Now someone in his family's been affected by this. Yeah, Greg, it's, like I was saying, I just that one time I couldn't find that Christmas horror movie, Deadly Games Dial Code Santa Claus. But other than that, I pretty much have always found what I've been looking for on there if I was ever looking for a particular movie. But um, you know, actually I've noticed some of the newer releases, you'll see them kind of pop up there pretty quick. I know the new Final Destination movie that popped up fairly quick when that came out, but yeah, it's really a good tool to watch movies and not have to pay for something. Now, I know that I don't think you get anything beyond 720p unless you pay for the Look Movie services. That's when you get everything in full HD and beyond. But to me, like I can watch that stuff and like I usually just use my tablet and watch it and the video quality's clear enough. And again, I really just use it for, movies that I haven't seen, and it helps me decide if I really want to, own a copy of a certain movie. 59 saying another YouTuber I found has a program on a site where you can leave audio messages without logging in. That is awesome. I need to crank anchor it with Ed from Crank Anchors. Yeah, thanks, lady. Yeah. Oh shit, Crank Anchors. That's something I haven't seen in a long time. Like, I actually would like to go back and like listen to the Jerky Boys though. Remember having like a few Jerky Boys cassettes, at least like one or two of those. Yeah, this is what Brody makes the mayor sign on to get Quint to be the one to hunt and kill this shark. But now we're actually at the headquarters of Quint's place. And you get a good idea of who he is, man. You see all the shark teeth hanging like trophies and where he lives. And yeah, this guy is just a shark hunter at heart, man. This is what this guy lives for. When I was younger, I used to wonder why. I'm like, why is he calling the shark a dogfish? And apparently one of the reasons why they call sharks dogfish is because of the fact that they fight so fiercely. And, some dogs, or most dogs, if you don't, I guess if you raise them to be fighting dogs like pit bulls and stuff, like they'll be very fierce. So, you put dog and fish together, it really is a good name for a shark, like a great white shark, a dogfish. I used to wonder that. They're like, why is he calling the shark a dogfish? But yeah, makes perfect sense though. But like, overall, Clint refers to the shark as like porkers. He'll call them porkers or dogfish. No, you're talking about catching porkers, Hooper. Porkers? You're talking about catching porkers? But, that initial meeting of Hooper and Quint, Quint doesn't like him because he's a fucking highly educated schoolboy. And, Hooper doesn't like, Quint because he's just very old school and stuck up and refused to, hear anything that could, alter his learning, I guess you could say. He ends up grabbing Hooper by the hands here. He's like, "You got city hands, Hooper. You've been counting money your whole life." That's a good line, though. You know, actually, I kind of paid attention to this one. I probably watched it. At this point, I probably watched Jaws at least like once a year, something like that, probably sometime throughout the summer. But I remember it was like this time last year, somewhere around this time I was watching it. And, I'm thinking where, it's supposed to be Quint, the chief, and Hooper out on this boat. But Quint keeps hinting at maybe I should go out on this charter by myself. But how would Quint handle all this on his own? Like how would he handle tying up the barrels and shooting the harpoon gun and doing all that on his own and driving the boat? Logically, but again, it's just a movie. It's nothing to take seriously. But I'm just one of those people that will kind of, when you see a movie working very well logically, you try to put logic in all scenes of movies and make it work in your head. But like sitting there thinking about that, because like Quint is really all about going out on his own. But, if it wasn't for the chief putting all this together, all this wouldn't happen. But at the end of the day, this is Quint's vessel. He is the captain. He is the one calling the shots. But I remember thinking about that, like the last times I watched it, I'm just like, how the fuck would Quint handle all this on his own, catching this fucking 3-ton shark, driving the boat, tying the barrels to the harpoon gun, and doing all this? It just, no. You need more than one person to be catching a fish that weighs over 1 ton. I'm not even a very experienced fisherman, and I know that. But I mean, like, I've gone out on like charter vessels before and gone like deep sea fishing and catching like flounder and stuff. I've done that stuff, but I've never gone shark fishing before. So not like I'm sitting here and knowing what I'm talking about. I just know that you can't go out, fishing for some fish that weighs more than 1 ton and catch it on your own. Get the fuck out of here. You need assistance, man. Greg saying, being in the cage in the water with the shark in the water. Hell no to that. Cage in the water, you in the water, shark in the water. I love that line too, though. It's like, what are you, some half-ass astronaut over there? He's like, what do you got there? What do you got there? A portable shower or a monkey cage? Hooper's like, anti-shark cage. Hey, Chief, I see you brought rubbers, because he's got like the rubber boots on. He's got the fucking raincoat and shit. He's all like, everything he's wearing is like so rubberized and everything. Like, another thing is just watching Quint as, Robert Shaw as Quint. I feel like it's got to be more than 50% mirroring what he really is in real life. Because apparently Robert Shaw he was a heavy drinker. He was hard to work with. He was always drunk on movie sets. I mean, another thing is when they were making this movie, there was even times where they were like, Robert, just go home, dude. Go home, come back tomorrow. Please come back tomorrow and be on your fucking game. That's it. Like, you're fucked up today. Go home. So I'm sure that had, I'm sure that played into having some issues with the scheduling and everything and going well over 100 days off schedule. So now the orca's finally out at sea, The chief is chumming away with his fucking Old Spice to to mask the smell. Hooper's playing with his astronaut gear. This is where Quinn chugs the beer. Then Hooper tries to match it with whatever whatever average that he's drinking. Homemade film with such a modest budget and all the production problems had. Yeah, man. I mean, Spielberg thought after going 100 days over schedule, he was like, fuck, dude, I'm fired. They're going to fire me, man. And I think if I was in his position, I'd be thinking the same thing. But, the show must go on. He must, just keep trucking with it, And I mean, another thing is I'm so glad that worked out for him and his career because, look at all the great films that came after that, too. Like the Indiana Jones movies, uh, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like just all types of fucking movies. Even Saving Private Ryan was like really up there as one of the all-time best war movies. Like, I mean, what's another movie I don't watch often? I think I bought it on, actually, I bought it on like 4K just because it was on sale. Like maybe 2 years ago was Schindler's List. That's a fucking rough movie, man, but it just, I don't know, man. That movie just feels like historically accurate when you're watching it. Like most of it is in black and white. At least I think like good, like 80-90% of the movies in black and white like that. But I feel like when I watch Schindler's List, which is not a movie I watch often, I think I've probably seen it like 2 or 3 times in my life. But like when I'm watching that, I feel like I'm really inserted into that time era. Like I feel like the screen's extending, and next, you know what? I'm actually in the scene. But see, that's just the thing with with Spielberg, and you give him the right production on things, like he can really run away with a real story and make it feel very authentic and realistic. What's a movie like no one ever talks about of his? And let me see if I think I have. It's like one of Christian Bale's first movies too, as a kid. What is it? When it was new. Maybe I can't find it right now. But all right, I can't find it right now because my room's a bit of a mess. But Empire of the Sun. You guys ever see Empire of the Sun? Steven Spielberg movie. John Malkovich is in that, but Christian Bale is in that, and he's a very, very young kid in that movie. Forget the year on it. I'm pretty sure it's late 80s, but that's like another like wartime era movie that takes place during that time, But yeah, just a very underrated movie, and I feel like just times like you might hear about, like maybe like something like the Sundance Channel, like putting it in like a countdown or something. But like I feel like I never hear anybody talk about Empire of the Sun. It's such a good movie, man. especially, seeing Christian Bale in such an early role as a kid in that movie too, and he's like one of the main characters in it. There was a movie Ninja site a while back, but it got shut down. It was like Look Movie. Ah, okay, Greg. Okay. Yeah, some of those things really come and go, but oh yeah, that is one thing with you mentioning that, it's pretty graphic for a PG rating with Jaws. Yeah, it's one thing sometimes I find like really hard to just fathom. Like, how the fuck did they get a PG rating? Like, I almost feel like money might have bought that rating or something. Like, yo, if you give us a PG rating, well, here's a nice fat check for you if you can overlook that and give us a PG rating. Because yeah, there's some like, I mean, even like, when the swim teacher, when his leg gets severed, like that's enough right there. And like, there's just, there's not, it's not like there's like splattering blood in this movie, but there's enough to where like the blood is flowing in the ocean. And yeah, it's just, there's quite a few scenes in this where it's like, yo, you guys are riding a fine line of what PG-13 or what PG is and what R-rated is, man. But, this really goes to show, the 70s were just a different era of filmmaking too, man. Which is why I really appreciate the 70s. I really do. 70s is up there as one of my all-time favorite eras when it comes to all types of films, not just horror, but like every aspect of, cinema. But 59 Cent Pinocchio by Disney is G with cigars and drinking. There you go. It's a good example. But like overall, it seems like, like that G rating or PG-13 rating gets broke when it comes down to splattering blood. Obviously, if someone's being turned inside out, or if it comes down to some nudity, it's like usually the deal breaker with that shit, graphic blood and blatant titties, like that's what breaks the rating right there. Hooper! 12 minutes southwest now, full throttle, Hooper! Yar, yar, Captain, yar! He keeps yelling at him, Hooper, full throttle. I don't think I could survive on a boat with Quinn. I'd be like, fuck this, dude. Yo, you're fighting me right now, dude. Let's fight right fucking now. I'd probably pick up Quint, throw him in the ocean. Gets back on board, had to pick him up, throw him in the ocean again. Hooper! Tie another barrel. I'm coming around again. Dog finally got a haircut. Dog finally got a haircut. She looks like a little young Yorkie again. Say hi, Lily. Do a little dance, and all right, I'll put you back. I'm gonna have to take her outside as soon as we end the stream. Yeah, I find it so bizarre that, Hooper is playing solitaire. And Ari, I get fishing for anything gives you that downtime. But I would still be locked on the fact that I'm hunting a big fish. But now this is where we actually see Bruce the shark. When Chief is chumming the water, he's like, why don't you come down here and chum some of this shit? That's where the shark comes out of the water. And yeah, this really takes, this takes Chief back here, man. It does. You're going to need a bigger boat. Famous line. But I love how the fact that the size of the shark doesn't faze Quint at all. I think, I think as Quint realizes what he's dealing with, he just, He just knows he's going to have to put all of his experience into this. He's going to have to use all those barrels to really wear this shark down. But I guess now this is where Hooper's like, all right, no more solitaire. It's time to get the camera out. It's time to get all the gear out. Like, we got a dead serious fish here. And then another famous line, that's a 20-footer, 25, 3 tons of them. We're going to need a bigger boat, right? How do we handle this? Chief's got no experience. You know, another thing I think that really adds to his character is the fact that he's not a water person. He's someone who just, he's not a swimmer. He's not someone who just appreciates, you know, that the beach life and going in the water, man. He's just not one of those people. Which ultimately, as you know, most of you guys should know, this is what really, you know, by the end of the movie, it really changes him. Now, apparently, you know, with Jaws 2, Roy Scheider didn't want to do Jaws 2, but apparently he owed Universal a movie, and he got tired of hearing about it from them. So he was like, all right, I'll do Jaws 2, and he did it, but apparently it was such a terrible experience for him. And yeah, so can you imagine that though? Like, you go from making such a classic movie like Jaws, and you know, you go from that, and then you make this undesirable sequel that you don't want anything to do with. It kind of just, I don't know, just knocks it down for you, you know, just like, now I don't want nothing to do with Jaws at all. I'm just like, I don't even want to like talk about Jaws, but that sucks, man. It really sucks. But you know what? The movie I watched recently with him in it, really fucking good. I think this is one of the more underrated movies from William Friedkin, and that's Sorcerer. Trying to get this comment off the screen right now. The 1977 movie Sorcerer with Roy Scheider. That is a really good movie, man. Really good one. But this is the Blu-ray digibook I have here for this. But yeah, I watched this a couple weeks ago. It's not really a movie I will watch often, but man, what a thriller this one is. Really good movie. And you know, as usual, you know, Roy Scheider's really good in it. You know, if you guys haven't seen Sorcerer, man, give that one a watch. 1977. That's a fucking banger right there. That one will keep you on the edge of your seat. Now I got the first barrels tied down on Bruce. I think deep down Quint knows, like, I'm gonna need at least 3 barrels on this fish. Like, one's just gonna get him started. You know, another thing is, like, you know, Chief thinks the 1 barrel is gonna fucking do it. It's gonna kill him. So it's gonna wear him out. All right, where would I leave off here in the comments? Pinocchio. Yeah, Greg. Yeah, it's 720p, especially, you know, watching that online is definitely good enough for a look movie. Yeah, 59 saying I enjoy the VHS quality of the hi-fi is fine. So yeah, yeah, I get that, but yeah, Greg saying that Jaws was shown a lot on TV, man. That's almost every weekend for me. It seemed like in the summertime that shit was on, or some kind of Jaws marathon. I mean, Jaws marathons are always on AMC to this day, you know, they're just always on. I like that at the end of that scene there, you know, his sun's going down. The day's pretty much ended, and Chief's like ranting to Clint, like, yeah, but we could radio in and get a bigger boat out here. You can't argue. You know, I think, you know, Chief is definitely right about that. That's being smart and thinking with your noggin there, but you can't tell an old-fashioned fisherman like Quint another boat out here. That's almost insulting to a guy like that. But we're going to be coming up to the Indianapolis scene here soon.
But right now we're trading scars and chipped teeth stories back and forth with each other. Yeah, Greg. Yeah. All four. Yeah, there's always a Jaws marathon on, man. And 59 saying that, and Rocky in the 90s, yeah, on TV, Greg, for sure. All of them, yeah, that's right on the mark, man. That's right. Nowadays, it's like fucking Men in Black marathon or Matrix marathon. I don't know, something that's like, late 90s, early 2000s. That's funny you mentioned that one, Greg. That's how I first saw Roadhouse, was on TV. Like, I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan of Roadhouse, but like, yeah, like it's, a movie I caught on TV a lot. You know, it's another movie I caught on TV a lot. And it's funny because like I would always catch it on TV. It's actually a 90s movie. But like eventually I caught it on TV so many times, I was like, all right, I finally caught, I never watched the whole movie in full, but I always caught enough of it to be like, all right, I finally watched this whole movie. Was Mel Gibson's Braveheart. I always would catch that movie on TV in like the late 90s. It would be on TV. I'd be like, ah, shit, Braveheart's on. Like, oh, finally, a part I'd never seen before because it was such a long movie. But that's another one that has anniversary this year. I think that's like, let's see, 95. That's 30 years old this year, Braveheart is actually. Award that movie. Goonies. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I always forget that Spielberg's got, some attachment to that. Another movie I forget that Spielberg has attachment to is Arachnophobia, the 1993 Spider movie. That's another one I always forget because that was made by the Amblin Entertainment, which is his studio, right? E.T. That's oh man, it really sucks that when you like you look at the reality of ET and John Carpenter's The Thing and how like ET like completely overshadowed such a great sci-fi horror movie. But that's just the way of the times back then. But I think you put ET up against John Carpenter's The Thing nowadays, like I think the longevity goes to The Thing, man. It just does. At least it does for me. I still like ET for what it is, though. I mean, it's not a movie I watch often, but it's still a very effective movie. Yeah, everything Spielberg's done is just very effective, man. There we go, 59. Yeah, mentioning Duel, another I saw around 8 years old that stuck with me. Yeah, that is another one I remember catching on TV. Me and my brother used to call it because we could never figure out the name of Duel. Me and my brother would be like, "Oh, it's the movie with the killer truck, trying to kill that guy with the glasses." Like we could never figure out the name of that shit. We used to find it on TV, like, "Oh, it's the killer truck movie." Yeah. But yeah, Duel, man. I think that's what he broke in with, right? Spielberg. I think that was like his first feature movie. I think I could be wrong. Wasn't Duel made for TV too? I think back in the I don't know early 70s. I think I know I have Duel. I think I have it on 4K somewhere over there in my room right now. I can't reach it, but yeah, Duel's pretty much what got Spielberg recognized, even get him up to this point with Jaws. But yeah, very, very grateful for, a filmmaker like Spielberg, really. I think a lot of people could probably agree with me on that. And yeah, I just really appreciate him all around. So Goonies is that 80s, yeah, as 80s as it gets, man, it really is. I mean, it's right in the, 85, right? Right in the middle of the 80s right there. Christian Bale and Newsies. Oh shit. That's one I don't have either. Disney. Money bought that rating. Is that like buying views? It probably is, like idiocracy scams. I think so. 59. I swear to God, dude. Dude. Sometimes you just see a movie and it's like, yo, how did this get this rating? Like, I think someone knew someone or someone had some extra money laying around. Like, yo, can you give me that sweet rating and I could fucking, pay your mortgage for the next year? All things and rating systems is what makes Stanley Kubrick films great. That's a good comment there. All right, Greg. Yeah, you're the one who brought that movie to my attention too. The Yorkie werewolf or whatever that movie is. The real Yorkie werewolf. The poster art really, sucks you in too. It really looks like you have like a demonic fucking, Yorkie and that and shit. Like I remember actually showing the poster art to my mom too. She was like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "It's not a serious horror movie or anything." She thought it was like real, like a real legit like movie and stuff. I can't believe I can't believe Quint actually has a first aid kit on the wall in the Orca. I get the vibe of him like, what, a fucking band-aid or a bandage? Fuck off my vessel, you little bitch. Yeah, Greg's saying that ratings board was sleeping through a lot of movies. Seems like it, man. I'm caught up on the comments. 2 hours and 5 minutes later. But all right, let me go grab another drink. I'll be right back in a few seconds. Bear with me, guys. All right. All right. Well, I think we're the final half hour here now. So yeah, it's obviously we got through the Indianapolis story and everything, and they're singing that "Show Me the Way to Go Home" song, and that's where the sharks plowing into the side of the Orca. Yeah, no more goofing around now. It's time to get those engines revving. Chief, put out the fire. Random fire just starts. Yeah. Yeah, I'm at 1:35 and 20 seconds. So final 30 minutes. And now they lose power on the boat. Dawn is right around the corner too. I mean, I really feel like Quint's plan here is not a bad plan to draw the shark in the shallow waters and drown it, which, it's got to come from, his experience as a fisherman. But, they still only got one barrel on this thing. So there's still a lot of work to be done here. Oh, this is the shooting star scene right here. The random shooting stars comes right in the background where you see Hooper in the 4 scale there in the background. And Chief's pulling out his fucking service pistol. But they realize the shark's gotten away again. And now the sun's up. Now it's the next day, officially the next day. Now they have to do work to the boat because too much salt water got in on the engine. So they got to gut all that shit out. Or that's right, the salt water got into the fuel line throughout that whole time with the shark pounding on the side of the Orca. barrels up. Barrels up. Time to go to work. What is that, Jade? Yeah, but what kind of shark? You're a tiger shark. So I'm not exactly sure what the next stream will be, but as of right now, my plan is to get into Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. That is my plan after this. Need to go back, push those dates a little bit forward on that, get those back in place. But that is my plan as of right now, as far as doing any streams going forward. So as long as everything works out as planned, the next stream should be Batman Begins. And then we'll do The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. You know, I like how pulling in that line, that rope line that's, you know, tied to the barrel. And, you know, Quint's telling Hooper, he's like, you know, Hooper, make sure you drop that line. If he runs, I've seen knuckles torn out of the fucking hands on people before. And meanwhile, he's holding the rope. Like, okay, like you got no fucking, you know, care or any regard for your own knuckles there. You could see the blood in his palm of his hands. Like he got cut by that rope. And then, you know, Chief's first instinct is to run inside the Orca, get on the fucking CB line and call in the National Guard for some help. And Quint's had enough of that shit. That's why he smashed that radio. He had enough of hearing about that shit. You're certifiable, Quint. You know that? You're certifiable. Oh, boys. He's come back for his noon feeding. The drunken boats, yes. You know, between that, the guys are, you know, trying to compare each other's scars and stories, and then the tone of the movie shifts once the Indianapolis story gets told by Quint and everything. Everything gets very straightforward and serious. All right, we got 2 barrels on them now. I only see 1. There should be 2 on there. Oh, maybe something got by me there. Ratings board was sleeping. All right, so all right, we're calling. That's right, we're calling up on comments. We got 5 people left in the chat, but yeah, we're getting closer to the end here. Closer, we're final 20 or so minutes. But you know, I don't know. This, like I said, this was a last minute stream really put together. But I don't know. I couldn't ignore the 50th anniversary for this one. And Jaws is always going to be such an important movie for me. It really just opened a whole fucking world of movies for me. And you know, like once I realized what this movie was, and when I became aware of like a video store and you know, just what a video store had to offer and everything, it just mesmerized me, man. Like, you know, like I'd say Return of the Jedi. First time I saw Return of the Jedi, you know, after being, you know, acquainted with Jaws and knowing what that is, I would say like Return of the Jedi, just like the Jabba's palace scene is something that I would say was very close to how mesmerized I felt with watching Jaws, like seeing all the characters in Jabba's palace and all the creatures and everything. And even the things that you don't see in the distance and, you know, in the dark and the shadows and everything. Like, but yeah, just, you know, the 80s were just really such a special time for me personally, as it is for a lot of you guys. Anyone who's down there in the chat right now, anyone watching the replay, but yeah, these are just such important movies, you know, just anything going for me personally, anything going from like mid-60s all the way up to the 90s. Just such an important era of filmmaking. And we got 2 barrels on that fucker now. All right. Obviously, the Orca's in bad condition too right now. I think just pumping. Things pumping out smoke, man. The engine's worn out, man. You'd be like, Quint, fuck you and your starboard bullshit, man. Fucking call in the Coast Guard, all right? Let's get some help out here. I mean, we still got to get Hooper down in the cage. We still haven't had that yet, so that's coming up. Like, Quint, man, like, fuck you and your starboard bullshit. Over, starboard, right to starboard. I guess tangled up in that rope there. And it really shows you the strength of that shark, man. He gets tied up in that rope by accident. Because now they actually have the shark supported by the back end of the orca, and now it's going to pull the orca around. That shows it even more how strong this shark is. Oh, Caveman's here. Ah, man, the wrench didn't go on for him. Fuck, dude. I can't believe that. Oh, Caveman, I'm so sorry, dude. Dude, I'm gonna try to work on that. Like, I was explaining to Greg because his wrench is working, but every time I hit the mod thing, it says that person's been added as a moderator. And then if I go back and I click on their name, it goes right back to normal where it's like add as moderator. So I don't know about that. I'm so sorry about that. I did briefly mention that at the beginning of the stream because I was like, oh, all right, it went through for Greg. Hopefully it went through for Caveman. And no, it looks like it didn't, man. I'm so sorry, dude. But I'm trust me, man, I'm still gonna work on that and try to get you modded for the channel. But yeah, good to see you here, guy. And yeah, hey Sean, hey Chad, and please hit the like button. Yeah, thank you very much, guy. But yeah, hopefully all is well with you. We're on like the final half hour. I think the final 25 minutes to be exact right now of Jaws. So yeah, we're going to be coming up to the cage scene soon with Hooper diving in, but yeah, good to see you here, guy. I'm so sorry. I was really hoping that fucking mod thing went through and it just didn't, but I can still locate your comment and I'm gonna fucking keep pounding away at that shit. So eventually you're gonna be blue, you're gonna have a wrench. It's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen. You know what? Since I have this device here, let's see if I can maybe fix that right now. Yeah, that's fucked up, man. All right. And now they got 3 barrels on Bruce. He can't go down with 3 barrels. He can't do it with 3 barrels. No, he easily went down those 3 barrels. He played the shit out of Quint on that one. That shut him up real fast. You know, Quint don't even know what to do now. He's out of experience after this. Yeah. As soon as I click on your name at that comment, like it's the TV reflecting on that. You can't really see it, but I'm hitting add as moderator, standard moderator, and it says Caveman Movies 41333 is now a moderator. I don't understand that shit. That's really frustrating. Thank you, Caveman. Yeah. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Man, that fucking shark is like an airplane, dude. Love that overhead shot, you know, where they had the camera up at the top of the pole there, and you could really see down on the water there. So now, yeah, the whole idea is to bring the shark in the shallow water and drown him. Yeah, they're all sober now, you know, drinking the night before, you know, talking about their legs in the Indianapolis and their war stories. Everyone's sober and alert now. That's funny. And she's like, "You ever have a great white dude?" Is right away Hooper cuts them all like, "No." Now it still says you're a moderator, but if I refresh it and go back to the top, and I go back to it, wow, it's still there. Wait, maybe test testicles. Yeah, but you know, hopefully all is well with you, Guy, and you know, thanks for stopping by here at the end of the stream. But yes, I trust me, I ain't gonna forget about you. But it's so weird that Greg and Jim's movie channel, they went into a mod, but I still had the same issue though that I had with him, where it was like I would add them as a mod, and then if I refreshed it and went back, it was like I had to add them again. So yeah, I don't know. I guess doing things on cell phones and Android, it just really just hit or miss. I don't get it, man. YouTube's very fucking frustrating like that, though. May have to start wrong, but I know the film takes place over the 4th of July. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It does. Yeah, it takes place over the 4th of July weekend, even though, I mean, you know, in real life, it was released on today, the 20th, which I know it's the 21st now. At least where I'm at on the East Coast. Actually, it's Toby Hooper's Life Force is 40 years old today now. Yeah, Toby Hooper's Life Force. That's another one that has an anniversary today, June 21st. God, you know, looking at Matilda May in that movie, man, that girl's got a beautiful body, man. Ooh, man. Woo, woo, woo. Hubba, hubba. Maybe restart YouTube. I don't know, man. It's just it sucks, man. Because like he's the only one I have left to really make into a mod, and it's not working. I don't get it. I'm gonna keep pounding at it though. That's all I can do is just keep doing what I can to, you know, click on his name, and if I see add as moderator, I'm gonna click on that and just keep trying to turn him into a mod. But yeah, you know, these three are just completely defeated at this point. They have no options, but you know, at this point though, you know, Hooper comes up with the fact that he has enough poison, liquid, you know, chemicals on board to where if he has something that could penetrate the shark's skin, this is what ultimately could kill him. Yeah, Cheap Brody's all pissed off about it though. He doesn't like the idea of Hooper going down in the cage, but Hooper is all about it. All right, I gotta go to the bathroom really quick. Give me about a minute and a half. I'll be right back.
Yeah, they're all gonna die.
This shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right, sorry about that. All right, we got 3 people left in the chat right now. It still says he is moderated right now. Refresh it. Now they got Hooper down in the cage. He's fully underwater right now, man. Man. There's some scary shit here this scene. Yeah, you can see the shark in the distance there, which this is actually real great white footage in this moment. Now, I don't know too much of the early on decisions of going with a practical shark and also a real shark, but I've heard that they did go with a real shark and it managed to get tangled up in the cable lines of the cage and got injured. And that's when they were like, fuck it. We're going with a practical shark at this point. So I guess that depends on how much you really want to dive into finding out, you know, from reading articles or finding video documentary footage. But, you know, apparently Steven Spielberg and the crew did want to go with a real great white shark at one point. But man, that sucks. You know, Hooper, you know, he's got he pulls the cork off the poison dart. He's ready. He's ready for the shark. Like right there, that's actually real footage right there. And I think, yeah, there is also footage of that shark getting tangled up in the cage. So apparently this is all like real, you know, like footage that like it was all anticipated. Like this was all planned out to do it that way, but nope, didn't work out. But again, this is also, you know, the first time, you know, especially with Universal Pictures, that, you know, you're making a movie out on the open ocean ever in fucking film history. But I don't know. I think it was a little, I don't know. I really think Universal got a little in over their heads and didn't consider the fact that you have a new filmmaker here. And it's for everyone working on this movie. It's something new for everyone. The time schedule was just not very realistic, and that showed over time. All right, I just closed out YouTube on this shitty phone I have here. I'm gonna go back to his comment. And it still says he's a fucking moderator. Either way, maybe Sean has to refresh. See, I can't do anything on this device, but either way, I'm going to stay on top of it. I'm going to get that shit fixed. Because if you and Jim got wrenches, no, eventually he's going to have a fucking wrench. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when at this point. I mean, if I was, you know, the chief, if I was Brody and Clint right now, I'd be like, yo, Hooper's dead. I'm going to reel this cage in and he's dead and gone. Which, you know, once they reel it in, they don't see him there. It's probably safe to go with that, you know? This is where Bruce is gonna come up on the end of the fucking orca here, and oh man, oh my god, that's some scary shit right there, man. Imagine being on that boat, that shark just lowering that bottom half of that orca. Jesus Christ. So yeah, one of the air tanks landed on Quint's hand, which stopped him from holding on. And now he's sliding down there. Oh my god. Ooh. Yeah, but apparently Quint, Robert Shaw, he was injured with making this, getting this all executed properly. But man, that's some rough shit right there. Yeah, we got 3 people left in the chat, so we're almost through here. Like, now Quint's dead and gone. He's been gobbled up. Boat's going down quicker now too. Man, that shark comes through that glass there. You see all the you see all that human flesh and the meat hanging from his teeth there. One tank left. Of course, Brody's punching at Bruce there with it. He throws it in its mouth. See, I must think that the reason why, Brody threw that tank in there, he probably thought the tank was a bit more sensitive than it actually was. If you shake it up the wrong way, it'll probably blow up. That's probably why he really threw it in there. I don't think he really, was able to like premeditate where like, oh, let me throw this in his mouth and let me get the fucking rifle out and I could just shoot at it. But what was that on like Mythbusters or whatever? Like they actually went and like redid this like scientifically the way it was supposed to be. And you can shoot an air tank apparently like that. You could shoot one, but it's not going to actually explode. It's just going to be shooting air out of it. The tank's going to be flying around, but it's not actually going to blow up. But, for the standards of this movie and Hollywood and everything, it works and, makes the movie work and everything. But for a guy, that's, he's obviously the chief, scared of the water, not really a water person. Now he's a fucking water person. Water ain't bothering him. He's more worried about the shark than the water. All right, we're coming up on that classic ending now. Here we go. Man, he's still got all that meat in his teeth. Come on, show me the tank. Go on. Man, the music's so good here too, man. Smile, you son of a bitch. Bang. Talk about a lucky shot. Oh man, that shot blown to pieces now. His whole head's gone. Oh, it's such a fun movie. I'll never get tired of this movie. I mean, shit, if I ever like get sick and get old and I know my days are numbered, I'm gonna make sure I watch Jaws before I fucking clock out on this lifetime. Oh man, such a good movie. I'll never get tired of this movie. It truly is just an ultimate classic. Never gets old. But at the same time, it's a movie I've grown up with, watched a number of times, but it's also one of those movies where I appreciate it so much to where I can only really watch this movie about once a year. And I feel like I could go beyond that, but if I go beyond that, that's where I'm going to fucking beat it like a dead horse and then end up not appreciating it. So, yeah, that's why at this point, I'm in my 40s. I just try not to make sure I overwatch Jaws, but I just try to make sure I at least get this in at least once every summer. using a real shark for the whole film would have been risky and a liability. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, apparently the shark that they initially were gonna go with too, it got injured. It got fucking tangled up in the cable cords of the fucking cage and got hurt. And now, you know, with Hooper, obviously, you know, he managed to survive. It's him and the Chief just paddling, and you know, the Chief loves the water now. You just, you know, I guess that's all you got to do is expose someone to the water, and you could have them be a fan of it in no time. But to be a fan of a big shark like that, fuck that, right? But yeah, that's Jaws at 50 years, everyone. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and end this one here in a couple minutes. But so we got 4 people left in the chat right now. Yeah, shark will bite the tank. Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, they will probably have to do that scene, like the ending scene, probably a lot more differently. That's probably where you have to use a bit of a practical. But can you imagine all the planning and the prep work that really went into this? No matter what it is that they decided to ultimately land on, but just man, this movie really was a game changer, and that's another reason why, you know, this movie really started the summer blockbuster too, man. It just 1975 filmmaking is just wow, man. It really changed everything going forward. And yeah, I will always forever appreciate this movie, man. I mean, like, you know, even with like the borderline fucking bloody violence you get in this, there's times where I'm like, oh yeah, it's right. This is a fucking PG-13, no, sorry, a PG movie, you know. But yeah, obviously, you know, rating system has changed a whole hell of a lot since then. So, but all right, so yeah, we'll go ahead and close this one down here soon. We got Greg saying read the Peter Benchley novel, but that was when I was in high school. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't even have a proper copy of that. I thought I had a paperback of it, but I should actually work on trying to get you know, a novel of it, you know, because, you know, compared to the movie, you know, as good as the movie is and the novel, they're both good in their own right. But yeah, thank you too, Greg. I know this was last minute. I put this together and I messaged you about it. But yeah, thank you for hanging out. I'm glad you had a good time hanging out here. And Panera, 1978, the beginning of Joe Dante. Really? Wow. I'll have to look into that one. Like, I mean, I'm very familiar with Joe Dante, but like, oh, you're saying Piranha. All right, all right, you spelled it wrong. That's all. All right, that's why I'm like, oh, wait a second, what the hell is that? But yeah, Piranha, 1978. Yeah, but yeah, maybe we'll. I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out, but I would say that there's a possibility we might see a stream for you know, Piranha on the channel. I'm definitely a big fan of Piranha. So, but yeah, other than that though, can't really say right now when the next stream will be, but I really want to make sure that the next time I do a watch party, it's going to be diving into the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, which was requested from Todd Christian. But yeah, either way, that shit is definitely getting done soon here in the future. But so we got 4 people left in the chat. But yeah, so that's Jaws at 50 years old today, and so yeah, obviously we're over that anniversary now, and yeah, we're into the 21st. But yeah, thank you all very much for hanging out with me here today to watch Jaws. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'll try to keep notified when the next stream comes. So yeah, take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you all in the next one, everyone.
You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Shark!
all gonna die.
This shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.